Buenos días. Este es el Camino a la Sostenibilidad. Mi nombre es Alfredo Nani y te estaré acompañando durante los próximos 3 días del evento. La Universidad de Monterrey, a través de la Vicerrectoría de Formación Integral, te da la más cordial bienvenida a la edición número 20 del Camino a la Sostenibilidad. Este espacio de intercambio de experiencias exitosas para recorrer el camino hacia la construcción de una sociedad sostenible comenzó en enero de 2011. Estamos muy felices de estar aquí, como cada semestre, para compartir, aprender y vivir la sostenibilidad. Cumplimos 10 años. Aunque suene repetitivo, porque muchas personas lo han dicho ya, en un par de días cumpliremos 1 año sin actividades presenciales en los campus universitarios, cumpliremos 1 año de retos y vivencias completamente nuevas, para las que nadie nos preparó, pero de las que seguramente saldremos fortalecidos. Esta edición del Camino a la Sostenibilidad sigue la misma línea que hemos venido trabajando: bienestar y prosperidad para todas y todos en tiempos de pandemia. Porque a pesar de lo que estamos viviendo, debemos seguir trabajando para que el bienestar y la prosperidad sean parte de la vida de todas las personas. Empezando, primero cada uno en lo individual y tratando de expandir el área de influencia hacia los demás. Todas las áreas de la Vicerrectoría de Formación Integral de la UDEM hemos trabajado en el diseño de este evento para ofrecerte actividades en una variedad de temas relacionados con problemas que nos aquejan tanto a nivel personal como social. Estamos seguros de que con las herramientas adecuadas y trabajando juntos podemos convertir esta crisis en una oportunidad. Es momento de diseñar acciones diferentes a las que hemos venido haciendo y que se centraban en lo individual. Y ahora te hacemos la invitación a que la prosperidad de todas y todos sea tu guía de acción. Trabajemos de manera colectiva en la búsqueda de soluciones que beneficien a todas las personas. Antes de que comience el evento, quiero dar la bienvenida a invitadas e invitados especiales que el día de hoy nos acompañan. Agradecemos el apoyo de Fundación Signux, quienes es uno de nuestros aliados más importantes, y damos la bienvenida a sus representantes. Marcela Garza Herrera, presidenta de Fundación Signux. Ana Lilia Fernández Veloquio, directora de Fundación Signux. Y Dalila Saraí Núñez Renovato, líder de Fundación Signux. De igual forma, agradecemos a los vicerrectores de la UDEM que nos acompañan el día de hoy. Isabela Navarro Grueter, vicerrectora de Formación Integral. Luis Iturralde Siller, vicerrector de Desarrollo. Muchas gracias por acompañarnos el día de hoy. A continuación, quiero invitar a Isabela Navarro Grueter, vicerrectora de Formación Integral, a que nos dé un mensaje de bienvenida.
Muy buenos días. Me da mucho gusto darles la bienvenida a la edición número 20 del Camino a la Sostenibilidad. A lo largo de estos casi 10 años, el Camino a la Sostenibilidad ha pasado por muchos cambios. Comenzó como una plataforma para exponer trabajos e investigaciones muy especializados en el tema de energía, hasta evolucionar en lo que es ahora. Un foro en el que convergen la preocupación por las personas, el planeta, la prosperidad, el acceso a la justicia y la paz universal. Y así, diversas áreas de la Universidad de Monterrey, conscientes de su contribución al desarrollo sostenible, se han ido sumando en el diseño de este evento para hacer sinergia. El confinamiento en el que vivimos desde hace casi 1 año nos obligó a explorar nuevas formas de organizar el camino y nos abrió también a nuevas posibilidades, como por ejemplo el contar con invitados que viven en otras ciudades o países y que comparten con nosotros temas en los que son expertos: el desarrollo sostenible, la salud integral, el respeto a la dignidad de las personas y el bienestar mental, entre otros. Quiero agradecer a todas las personas que hacen posible la organización de este evento y de manera especial a Signux, quien cada año nos brinda su apoyo incondicional. Aprovecho también la oportunidad para felicitar a Signux por su 65 aniversario y al Centro de Sostenibilidad de la UDEM por la celebración de sus primeros 10 años. Deseamos para ambos muchos más años de grandes logros y de colaboración cercana que nos permita realizar eventos como este, que generan conciencia en nuestra comunidad universitaria y nos invitan a ser actores de cambio ante la crisis socioambiental que vivimos. Gracias también a cada uno de ustedes por estar aquí, sintonizando este evento. Confío en que las conferencias que hemos preparado para ustedes sean de mucho valor. Nuevamente les doy la bienvenida y los invito a transitar por este camino a la sostenibilidad. Que Dios los bendiga.
Muchísimas gracias, Isabela, por tus cálidas palabras de bienvenida. Siempre es un gusto escucharte y vamos por muchos más años. Un proverbio africano dice que si quieres llegar lejos, vayas acompañado. Pues bien, el camino a la sostenibilidad en el que nos vemos desde hace 10 años no sería lo mismo sin nuestros aliados, las universidades, el gobierno, la sociedad civil y las empresas. Juntos hemos de avanzar y seguramente así llegaremos mucho más lejos. La Fundación Signux y la UDEM somos aliados desde hace más de 8 años en la iniciativa Signux UDEM. Gracias a esta alianza, hemos trabajado por el bienestar de las personas y por la difusión de temas de energía y sostenibilidad. El camino a la sostenibilidad es solo un ejemplo de lo que una sinergia así puede lograr. Agradecemos a Fundación Signux por la confianza que ha puesto en la UDEM y en el Centro de Sostenibilidad. Por esta razón, es un gusto ceder la palabra a Ana Lilia Fernández Veloquio, directora de Fundación Signux, para que nos dé un mensaje de bienvenida.
Hola, me da mucho gusto saludarlos y compartir este evento con todos ustedes. Aunque no estemos en el mismo recinto, sé que además de estar conectados por esta transmisión, estamos conectados por algo mucho más grande que nosotros: el propósito común de generar soluciones innovadoras en materia de energía, medio ambiente y desarrollo sostenible ante las problemáticas socioambientales que acontecen, para juntos mejorar la calidad de vida de las personas. Si bien aún no sabemos cuándo terminará esta contingencia, espero que apoyados en sus familias, amigos y maestros estén sobrellevando tanto como puedan este periodo complicado. Inicio felicitando al equipo líder del Centro de Sostenibilidad de la UDEM por su 10º aniversario. Durante este periodo han realizado aportaciones tangibles y de valor que han ampliado nuestro conocimiento acerca del medio ambiente, beneficiando a miles de mexicanos. Les deseamos muchos años más de labor comprometida y sé que seguiremos trabajando de manera muy estrecha para construir una sociedad sostenible. Hablando de aniversarios, en Signux estamos celebrando 65 años de historia. Nuestra misión de energizar la vida comenzó en 1956 y desde entonces estamos muy comprometidos con brindar soluciones confiables y de calidad en 2 grandes industrias: energía y alimentos. Por su parte, nuestra Fundación Signux cumple 11 años de abonar a los esfuerzos de responsabilidad social de las empresas Signux, contribuyendo al desarrollo sustentable de las comunidades. Nuestra relación con el Centro de Sostenibilidad de la UDEM es prueba de las alianzas e inversiones que hemos realizado para impulsar iniciativas de alto impacto y de gran valor social. Durante los últimos 8 años, gracias a la plataforma del Premio Signux UDEM, se han logrado implementar 25 proyectos de infraestructura sostenible en diversas organizaciones de la sociedad civil en Nuevo León. En resumen, 360 estudiantes representados en 94 equipos han formado parte de esta convocatoria desde su creación. Y justamente la antesala del premio es Camino a la Sostenibilidad. De ahí que estemos muy entusiasmados por participar en la edición número 20 de este evento, el cual es aprovechado anualmente por 2,000 estudiantes y está enfocado en difundir historias y propuestas de solución a favor de nuestro planeta y de una sociedad más justa. Como integrantes de nuestra sociedad, somos corresponsables del bienestar. No podemos permitirnos que tan pronto termine esta contingencia nos olvidemos de todo y regresemos a la normalidad. Aunque esta ha sido nuestra manera de operar históricamente, tenemos que seguir recordándonos cómo nos sentimos ahora y cuáles fueron las consecuencias que trajo consigo el coronavirus. ¿Con qué propósito? Con el propósito de trabajar en un cambio profundo que modifique el paradigma actual del uso de los recursos naturales. Margaret Mead, una de las mujeres más influyentes de la antropología cultural, dijo lo siguiente: nunca dudes de que un pequeño grupo de ciudadanos comprometidos y considerados puede cambiar al mundo, pues ciertamente es lo único que lo ha hecho. Por ello, es importante aprovechar estos espacios de aprendizaje, involucramiento y reflexión, pues nos permiten posicionarnos en la vía más eficiente y segura hacia el desarrollo sostenible, el trabajo en equipo basado en la evidencia científica y las aportaciones innovadoras de los expertos. El reto que tenemos frente a nosotros es grande, pero estamos convencidos de que un esfuerzo multigeneracional y multidisciplinario, como del que hoy somos partícipes, propiciará nuevas iniciativas con gran potencial. La satisfacción de sumar al desarrollo social y ambiental de México y de nuestro planeta es el mejor incentivo para continuar transitando esta vía. Deseo que estos 3 días de conferencias despierten su curiosidad y disposición y que los inspire a sumar a nuestra comunidad mediante los proyectos que participarán en el premio Signux Udem. Tengan la seguridad de que cuentan con todo el apoyo de Fundación Signux y de la UDEM para fomentar espacios de intercambio que sean el primer paso para concretar ideas de alto impacto. Aunque esta pandemia ha evidenciado que no todas las variables están en nuestro control, hay muchas variables en las que sí podemos influir, y más si lo hacemos juntos. La verdad, somos muy afortunados de contar con los recursos tecnológicos que nos permiten continuar aportando a nuestro propósito común y compartir eventos como este, a pesar de las circunstancias. Saquemos provecho de esta oportunidad y animemos a otros a unirse. Por último, me gustaría invitarlos a que continúen comprometidos en cuidarnos unos a los otros, aplicando en todo momento las medidas preventivas de salud e higiene. Así, cada uno de nosotros contribuimos activamente a cuidar la energía que impulsa nuestras vidas y la energía de quienes más amamos. Estoy segura de que saldremos adelante si nos seguimos apoyando entre todos, tal y como lo hemos estado haciendo hasta ahora. Muchas gracias por su atención y que estén muy bien.
Muchísimas gracias, Ana Lilia. Nuestro conferencista de hoy es un gran amigo mío. Su nombre es Jean-Christophe Carteron. Él fue el creador de Sulitest. Para nuestros estudiantes de la Universidad de Monterrey, durante el curso de Meta, que es un curso cocurricular que llevan todos los estudiantes, hablamos de diferentes temas y uno de ellos es la sostenibilidad. Para evaluar y saber qué tanto saben nuestros estudiantes de sostenibilidad, utilizamos la herramienta de Sulitest. Jean-Christophe, JC, para más fácil, vean que mi acento francés no es muy bueno, nos va a platicar de cómo fue que llegó a Sulitest, cómo lo han ido mejorando y cómo han ido trabajando. Sulitest es una herramienta internacional y estamos muy contentos en la UDEM de que somos la universidad número 2 en aplicarla en cantidad de estudiantes. Entonces estamos muy contentos porque estamos seguros que así nuestros estudiantes tienen conocimientos de sostenibilidad que les van a dar las herramientas para que cuando salgan a trabajar puedan aplicarlo y trabajemos en conjunto en la construcción de una sociedad sostenible. Entonces voy a platicarles un poquito sobre JC y tras iniciar su carrera en la industria aeronáutica, Carteron llegó a la Escuela de Negocios de Ketch en 2001 y dirigió el departamento de marketing antes de dedicarse de lleno al desarrollo sostenible. Fue director de responsabilidad social corporativa y coordinó la estrategia de desarrollo sostenible de la escuela durante 12 años, ayudando a desarrollar actividades de investigación y pedagógicas en torno al desarrollo sostenible. Y trabajó en predicar con el ejemplo, a través de un enfoque más sostenible en los campos. JC es miembro de la junta directiva de diferentes organizaciones, fundaciones, empresas sociales y es un actor líder en grupos de trabajo focalizado, principalmente en responsabilidad social para instituciones de educación superior. Desde noviembre de 2018 ha sido punto focal de la red francesa SDSN. Desde 2012 es asesor senior de la Iniciativa Sostenible de Educación Superior. Esta asociación entre 8 entidades de las Naciones Unidas es una interfaz única para la educación superior, la ciencia y la formulación de políticas. Por último, pero no menos importante, él ha lanzado Sulitest.org, la primera plataforma internacional en línea para crear conciencia y evaluar el conocimiento de desarrollo sostenible. La herramienta más conocida es la prueba y ha sido realizada por más de 135,000 personas y es reconocida como una de las herramientas para medir y monitorear los Objetivos de Desarrollo Sostenible de las Naciones Unidas. Entonces, dicho esto, muchísimas gracias a JC por darnos un poco de su tiempo. Mon ami, bienvenue. La pantalla es toda tuya, so feel free to share your screen. We're really happy to have you here. So let's talk about it.
Thank you, Alfredo. I will share my screen. Can you just tell me if you see me and if you see my screen?
Yes, I can see you.
Perfect.
And
my screen now.
Yes, I can see your screen. You're ready to go.
Thanks. Hello, everyone. Good morning, I think, for you. Good afternoon for me. So I'm Jean-Christophe Carteron, working for a French business school in France called Cage. I'm currently based in the south of France, Marseille. And I'm really, really pleased to be with you this morning. And as Alfredo mentioned, I will explain you one of the project that we've launched, and where Universidad de Monterrey is quite active, actually. Just as you can hear from my accent, I'm French, so I hope you will understand me. And I'm really versed in Spanish, so I will start. I will keep the English version. So let's start. The first thing is we are all making mistakes in our life, and to be honest, it's totally normal. It's probably even one of the best way to learn. But the problem is that depending of where you are in the society, in the system, the consequence of your mistake can have just an impact of yourself, or sometimes an impact on other people. So the project we've launched actually start in Rio in 2012, where actually it was the biggest sustainable development conference organized by the UN. It was Rio +20, because the first UN conference on sustainable development was in 1992. And in Rio, so I was French representative for higher ed during this conference. And I was starting to work with different UN agencies. And then we realized that in the UN ecosystem, to be honest, higher ed was really not a real topic. We, of course, sometimes they invite researcher or different people, but actually when we speak about education in the UN system, it used to be mostly for something really important, but bringing school for primary school or secondary school, but nothing linked to the fact that actually most of the crises, and actually it's something that I deeply believe, most of the crises that the planet or the humanity is facing right now are actually the consequence of human decision, and most of the time decision which have been taken in a professional context, and most of the time by people like most of you, I think, people with education, so people coming from university. And actually, of course, higher ed education and university, we are not guilty of the bad behavior of our students, of course, but probably we have a responsibility, and probably we have to push a little bit more on that. So we decide with some UN colleagues to launch something called HESI, which means Higher Education Sustainability Initiative. At the beginning, we were just 5 UN agencies. Now we have 8. And we ask something like, if I remember well, 50 to 60 academic networks worldwide to support this initiative. And we ask deans, chancellor, president of university, first to recognize their responsibility, and then to promise to put sustainable development into research, pedagogy, and of course the way how we manage the campus for the social aspect, for the environmental aspect, and of course governance. And actually this initiative happens to become the biggest self-contribution for the whole Rio process. So since 2012 now, HESI is the gate for higher ed in the UN system. And every year, during one big event in New York, there is the high-level political forum. All the academic community actually are invited to play a role in the 2030 agenda. Okay, you probably heard about the Sustainable Development Goals. So all the countries agree on a common roadmap, I would like to say. And actually every year we do a snapshot of where we are, and we are actually showing, you know, in every single country or in every single for every single topic, yeah, if we improve or if we have problem. So we start with paradigm, which is, we deeply believe that most of the people are nice. They are bad people. They are people who actually are selling weapons to kids. They exist. But most of the people, and even the people who actually are creating crises, are nice people. The problem is they have a really poor level of knowledge, and it's the case for in the political sphere or in the management, in the business field. And the problem is when you have leaders who actually are saying stupid things, most of the time we have to, they have lots of followers. So it's really something difficult for us. So the idea that we had in Rio, it's in most of the university worldwide, for instance, if you come in my school at Cage, we won't ask you to be an English teacher, but we will ask you at least to be able to speak few words of English. So we had this simple idea of launching something which could be comparable to that. And how can we be sure that all the people with a higher ed diploma have the minimum knowledge, what we call the sustainability literacy, on sustainable development to take relevant and informed decision. So it's where everything starts with this Sulitest, which means sustainability literacy tools and community. So the first step that we had to do was to define what we should assess, or at least measure. So for us, the sustainability literacy is really three pillars. Of course, knowledge, skills, and mindset. In order to, if you have all that three elements, you will be able to take informed and effective decision. As of today, and the tool I will explain will be mostly focused on knowledge, and we are now currently working on scaling up everything that we have done since that moment. So today we have actually a platform with different tools, and the most well-known tool is called the test. Few of you have already, I think, took it or will take it soon. So it's a multi-choice questionnaire, and you have 30 international questions, which is actually which are coming from the same database wherever you are on the planet. And then you have also in some countries specific module with local question. Of course, even if we share the same agenda, the way how we have to resolve problem in one country can be different for another one. Those questions will cover the full scope of sustainable development. So not only climate change, but also gender. All the sustainable development goals are into that questions. And we have also other tools which actually help organizations to customize their own set of questions to have something more relevant. So for instance, we have some company who actually are creating specific questions based on their own strategy, sustainable development strategy. So today we have almost 200,000 people who took the test. What we have, so you see the bubble light, some of them are switched on, is because they have their own set of questions. You can see that in your country, we have people working on, but we don't have yet some local questions. So if you are invited by Alfredo to take the test, you will have only the international questions. Oh, by the way, you can take the Chinese one or the French one, but you won't have right now the Mexican one. The people on the left-hand side, which is called the Senior Advisory Board, is actually the people who validate the international set of questions. And as I said, on the right-hand side, this is the National Expert Committee. And just to give you an example, in France, the people who've created the French question are the public university, private business school, engineer school, corporation, union, NGO, student organization. They all come into the same room, they fight a little bit, and then at the end, they come with 20 questions that any kind of student should know. When I say students, it's because most of the people who have already taken the test are currently students, but we start to have more and more companies who actually are using the test for their employees. The great news is that, so for the EASY initiative, we managed to become one of the contributors for the review of the 2030 agenda. So as I say, every year we are invited at the UN to present to have a kind of screenshot of the level of awareness of the population, the worldwide population. And just to give you few examples, this is the kind of thing that we are following and you can find that in our report. So they are just trends, they are descriptive trends, but actually it helps us to try to understand if we should probably focus in communication or pushing some topic or launching some specific action in order to increase the level of knowledge for each of those topics. Something quite interesting, at the end of the survey, we asked people different type of question. We have at the end of the test, we have a survey, and for instance, we start to recognize that the more you are interested in the topic, of course, we realize that, of course, they have a link between your interest and your score in the test. And the same thing, and which is quite interesting as a university to understand that, the more you teach that, rather in a specific course or in different courses, or other, by the way, other events, it could be not only courses, the more, of course, the people have a good score. What we just realized is that there is no big difference from one country to another one. We can have a difference from one university to another one, but not specific difference between each country. The strange thing is that because we start to have also employees and even faculty who took the test, we realized that on some specific topics, sometimes faculty are not better than our bachelor students. So it means that, of course, we need to teach to the students. We need to push all the topic of sustainable development into the classroom. But of course, we also have to help faculty and to raise awareness also of the faculty on how they can integrate those topics into their own course. So, for instance, we have launched with one of the network an initiative in order to be sure that it's kind of self-assessment matrix for every faculty member, so they can have a kind of idea if they are in their core in marketing, finance, or whatever the course, how they are helping SDG or how they are working against SDG. And it's quite interesting to see that faculty, when they realize that in some topic, if students follow the advice, we will be in the big mess. So it's something that quite interesting to follow that year after year, and to also see how we can check the how would I say that, how we can link an action. For instance, if you do a sustainable development week like you have right now, it could be interesting to take the test before and then after the event, and try to see if you learn something or if we should improve things like that. As I say, we have 30 international questions, we have national questions, but we also, the UN asked us to produce specific set of questions on each SDG. So we have different on energy, on SDG 11, which is sustainable city, one on sustainable consumption, specifically focus on circular economy. And we are launching, I think next week or in 2 weeks, a new module on SDG 14, which is life underwater. So it's everything touching sea and oceans. And it's definitely one of the example of what we are doing. So we are working with UN agency. We can have sponsor people who actually help us, experts, to produce those specific set of questions. We validate that with the community, and then when it's ready, we spread that worldwide. So Alfredo, if you want to invite your students to take a specific module on ocean, in a couple of weeks it will be available. Just to give you an example of how we use that in my own school. So now it's mandatory for all our students to take it when they arrive and when they leave the school, just to have an idea of the progress and to see the impact of all the things that we put in place, like courses or weeks like you have right now. We also have a premium access, so in order to customize our set of questions. So for instance, we have a few faculty members who have created their own set of questions. So for instance, in finance, so we have a set of questions on sustainable finance. So the students, when they arrive, they take the 30 international questions, and then before their course, a couple of months later, before the course on finance, they are invited to take this specific module. And then it's a good way to start the course, to start the discussion in this kind of course. We have also a module that my department have done on expectation of the students. So tries to be sure that that we are doing things which actually are of an interest for the students. So every year we follow that. And I think last month we've launched a new module for our staff, for the staff of when I say staff, is staff and faculty, of course, of the school. So any new person in the school as a staff have to take a specific module based on CAGE strategy. We also have different tools, as I say. We have a quiz, which is quite fun. We've done that with the For instance, the quiz, you can play with your cell phone. You have just 10 questions. It's just perfect for executive education, for instance, when you have people who don't know each other, who don't really know what is sustainable development. And we ask them to play all together per team in the quiz. So it's really short, it's quite cool. And another tool that we've launched, and I love this one, is called Looping. It's really a reverse pedagogical tool. The idea is we realize that knowing the answer on sustainable development is really, really interesting. But being able to create a question is a really, really a pedagogical way, which is really, really efficient. So we have module, and we are doing that right now, for instance, in a course on sustainable city, where actually students are asking to think together, so a pair team, and then they share the question. So it's a 3 hours a workshop, and then they create their own set of questions. We are now in a moment quite interesting for Sulitest. We will really scale up everything in the next couple months. So we are now in the process of fundraising for doing that. So the white stuff is the thing that actually already exists. We will have next year a certificate, so something that you will be able as a student or as a staff to put on your CV, something that, like an exam, a real one. And in the couple months later, we will launch something called Sustainability Literacy Badge, which is more a kind of compass. So it's mentoring. You will have 3 hours of mentoring, and then after that, we're going to validate that you have asked yourself the right question, and we're going to help you to take action. Take action could be in your personal life. I want to change something in my life. I want to get involved in an NGO in my own community, or something in my professional life. So in every single country, we're going to build partnership with actually networks like Global Compact Worldwide, or B Corp, for instance, or Ashoka for social entrepreneurship. And those people actually will be the next step for the people who will take the badge. Our mission in 2030 is to be sure that most of the big university and company worldwide will have a kind of evaluation on sustainability literacy. We want to reach 1 million tests actually in 5 years. We want to have 500 certificates. And of course, one strength of what we've launched, it's a common good. So it's really a community-based, as you've seen, community-based project. So we want to have more and more contributors, people who have an idea of a question should be able to give that. And then, of course, we have a peer review process for the question, but actually anyone on earth should be able to suggest question which could be plugged in the system. We start to have quite a lot of researchers doing research on the data, even if we are at the early stage on that. We have a huge database of sustainable development awareness and knowledge. And of course, we want to, as I say, expand our ecosystem, meaning to link with other people who are doing great things in a specific field or in a specific country or city after the badge. So if you want to be part of that movement, as a faculty, of course, you can organize sessions for your staff, for your students. You can create your own set of questions. It's a learning, we are in a learning journey. So meaning the version, we are now in version 3. So the version 3 is better than the version 2, which was better from the version 1, but the version 4 will be better again. So every time that you have an idea in order to improve something, we welcome you, and yeah, we can launch new product based on your idea. Of course, you can, as faculty, use that for your research. As I say, we don't have some Mexican question yet, and I think it could be really, really, really interesting. I'm not able, as a French guy, I'm not able to produce anything based on Mexican law, culture, and behavior. So we need a community of local people to do that. And as a student, of course, you can push your students, your faculty to create a looping session. You will see really, really interesting if you want to dive into a specific topic, let's say supply chain and sustainable development. So the tool helps you to understand in your future job what you're going to do. And again, you won't stay students for forever. So you will have an internship probably, and then you will have a job. And we need to have as many as possible, people who actually spread the word toward company and professional networks. And of course, we want you to be an agent of change. Thank you very much. And Alfredo, I don't know if we have time for question, but I'm of course happy to respond that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, JC, for all your talk. And of course, we do have time for some Q&A. For our participants and viewers, please send us your questions on the question box. I think it's down here somewhere. And while you do that, I'm going to ask a few questions to JC. So I think Sulitest is a great tool for students to assess how much they know about sustainability. Sometimes when we're students, we don't really know much about the topic, and getting these ideas of what we don't know, it's very helpful to start building up. But can you build or give us a little more information about what can be incentives for students to really learn about sustainable development, and specifically about the certificate? What might be some of the benefits to get a good grade on the Sulitest or to get this certificate at some point in their life, to escalate jobs or to move from a different area of knowledge?
So when I started my job as Sustainable Development Director 13 or 14 years ago, I had in the students population, I think I had something like 20% of the people who actually are activists, or not activists, but engaged people who actually say, yeah, I want to do something with my life, I want to have sense in my life, etc. We did a survey last year on all the new students who actually arrived in the school, and we have 83% of the people who believe that sustainable development, whatever the form and whatever the topic, could be the social aspects or the environmental aspects, but we have the majority, a huge majority of our students, and I'm sure it's exactly the same in every single country, who understand that it's not a happy stuff to do sustainable development. It's not anymore a nice thing. It's mandatory. Who can say now, and it was not the case 10 or 15 years ago, that climate change won't change our life? And of course, if it will change our life, it will change the way how we're going to do business, or whatever the business is, by the way. So I think it's really important that all the students understand that sustainability, of course, we will need people who are expert on sustainability. You know, we need people who will engineer, who will invent a new car without petrol, without anything. You know, a magic thing. We need people who are able to do a specific audit on CO2 emission. For sure, we need experts. But what we need is that the majority of the people who actually are going in the workplace tomorrow are able to understand the consequence of the choice. It's not anymore a subject of activists. It's a subject of, it's mainstream. It starts to be mainstream. So so I think nobody can just avoid that topic. The thing is now, the sustainability literacy test, the test as we have right now, will just give you a trend, because we give the freedom to faculty to organize the session in the way they want. For instance, in the US, there is one university, they ask 700 students to take the test. They have 35 minutes, and that's it. in Bristol or Bradford, in the UK, they have a small group of people asking, so all the students, 40 people, they all answer question 1 and then they discuss, and then question 2 and then they discuss. In my own university, we ask all the students and we give them 2 weeks to take the test. Of course, in 2 weeks, they will have the time to go online. And to be honest, I don't care. I don't care, because if they go online, as you mentioned, Alfredo, if you start to know what you don't know, it's a good beginning to start to learn. So actually, for the moment, of course, you can't compare people who have done the test in 2 weeks with access to internet and compared to people who actually have done that in kind of exam mode. So I think it's really great to have this test as a raising awareness tool. What we're gonna have with the certificate is really something which will be recognized by employers as a kind of stamp. This is a proof that I know something on that topic. And actually it's really great for universities. So we have a huge demand for university where we say, yeah, we are doing so much, but how can I say that my students are doing better than students from another university? Okay, we will have a test. We will have the certificate to prove that. Sorry, I can't see all the question. Alfredo, I don't know if you can help me. I don't know if I answer to your question, but if you can just say, sorry. I see what was my motivation to create the test. To be honest, I have 2 kids, 2 marvelous kids. And if we don't find a solution, we're going to be in a big mess. So we need to change the way how the business, how the government are acting. And one of the way, not the way, but one of the way is to change the way how people take decisions. So I decided to work for university 20 years ago. And then I think that the test could be quite useful, and actually I think it's quite useful to move forward. Sorry, Alfredo, I don't know if we have time, and I can't see all the questions.
Yes, we do have time, JC, don't worry. And okay. I think it's a very interesting conversation, the one that we're having. We have one question from one of our students, and what she's asking is, how can I incentivize or ask my faculty to incorporate sustainability topics in the curriculum? Because what she's mentioning is that in her whole career, she cannot see these topics. It's possible to include them, but how can she push faculty to do that, or ask or raise awareness to bring these topics into the curriculum, because it's a really important area to incorporate.
For sure. So two points on that. The first one is, the problem with the faculty is they learn, and actually most of the faculty are researchers, so they learn a lot. They learn mostly with their peer. And if sustainable development is not a topic current in their topic, actually they can be just outside of the system of sustainable development. So again, the first thing is to help them to understand that there is a link between marketing and sustainable development. I take the topic in my school, marketing, finance, HR, supply chain. So all those things, they need first to understand that there is a link. There is not something, I'm doing marketing, business as usual, and then, I'm going to try to do something a little bit clean. To be honest, I try to understand why people change. And it's not only faculty, it's everyone. You have 3 major reasons to change. The first one is, there is no 1, 2, 3, but there are 3 reasons. One is value. One day you realize that when you're doing something, there is an impact. I used to smoke and I used to throw my cigarette on the ground. The day I realized that my cigarette will stay here forever, I can't do it anymore. So this is value. Roughly speaking, 1/3 of the population, from what I know, in the business field, in academic field, same percentage, okay? So you will have faculty who say, yes, but I don't know how to do it, but actually I'm really active in my personal life. Okay, try to understand that, try to see those people, quite interesting. The second type of people, the second trigger actually, is the people who actually are risk adverse. People, for instance, in finance, people working in finance, they hate risk. So if you show them that not taking sustainable development into their field is really a huge risk, okay? Supply chain, you know, we have lots of scandal. We can show to a faculty how not taking into account social aspects or environmental aspects can be a huge cost for the company. So as a faculty, okay, if I realize that, it's quite interesting. The third point is, of course, the opportunist, the marketing, okay? I don't care about that topic, but actually my students ask that, my client asks that, the people want solar panel, they want electric bike, they want whatever, green stuff. Okay, I'm gonna do it. And of course, we are all a mix of that. And what is interesting is for a couple of years now, we start to have people who actually don't want to be seen as the last one to change. And so you will have those type of population. How can you push them to ask themselves the question? I think inviting them to this kind of event can, highlight something. The other thing we have, there are tools like the self-assessment, the matrix on SDG that we have launched. For the moment, we managed to push that to our faculty. So we have 20. So we have I think 1/4 of our faculty who have already taken the matrix to check if their course is aligned or not with the SDG. So quite interesting. So they realize that. And another thing, and actually it was quite interesting because it's something that I've done here. It's when you push your faculty to create their own set of module on their own topic. Okay, let's say sustainable finance, because it was one of the first. If you want, as a faculty, if you want to create relevant question on sustainable finance, you will have, first of all, to look for some information. So start to go on Google, go on with your community, etc., etc. This is one thing. And then we have invited my faculty to take the test, but not to take the test to check the score, but just because it's going to be easier for you to create a question on your topic if you have done the question, the international core module. And actually by pushing them, though I didn't ask them to take it, I offered them to take the 30 question to help them to produce their own set of questions. And it works pretty well.
Thank you, JC. I think it's really interesting what you're explaining to us, and I think you're giving us great ideas to push forward. Like, try to bring everyone into the conversation and start building up on sustainable development. We have two final questions. They're really, really short, but I don't want to miss them out. And one of the questions is, who is the sponsor of the project? And the other one I think is really interesting, and it's a great question. How do you make sure of the veracity of the results when you're taking this as part of a course with the actual knowledge? How can you tell students to take it consciously, to spend time on each question to try to get it correct and not just answer it as part of an assessment or an assignment of the course?
But just for the last question first, you won't avoid people who don't want. You know, again, you as a faculty, you as students, you will have always 2% of the population who actually don't care at all, and 10% of the population who don't believe, so they won't do things, okay, they have to do those, so they will click like that. But again, I remember a conversation, I'm going to try to do it short. I remember a conversation with Procter & Gamble, the washing, so they are selling washing powder. And the guy say, so there was the head of sustainable development, and this guy say, I have 20% of the population who actually will always buy organic or clean or eco-friendly washing powder, even if it doesn't work and even if it's more expensive. I have 20% of the population who actually will never buy this type of product, even if it's cheaper or even if it's the same product. Just because it's eco-friendly, they don't want that. But I have 60% of my population, if the product works pretty well, if it's not cost twice the price, and they will choose this product. And I think it's exactly the same in the population. Slowly and I don't know your country enough to know which topic is going fast. For instance, in France, 2 years ago, all the students start to fight on climate change. And then now they are doing that, but they are also doing a huge fight on gender equality. So depending on the country, you have to play with that and to push and to show the link between, for instance, climate change and poverty. So social aspects and entrepreneurial aspect, you can show the link on that. I don't have the best recipe, but actually, I think it works pretty well. And you will always have people who won't use it. And it's not a big deal. At least you will touch the majority of the people. And for the sponsor, because I see the timing, for the sponsor, we were lucky to have a huge community of people who actually have pushed the Sulitest. My school was, we were incubated in my school. The first version was financed by the foundation of the school, of Cage. And then a couple of years ago, we have asked donations from different university and corporation to finance the new platform. And we are now launching a fundraising in the next couple of weeks in order to scale up this project and to be able to give lots of things for free, and some will be with a fee. For the moment, you can take the test totally for free. It doesn't cost anything. You can use looping, the quiz for free. We want to keep that, and we want to find a sustainable business model in order to make this feasible.
Thank you so much, JC, for all your answers and your time. And I think you give us homework. We have to create the committee to create the Mexican questions, and I'll make sure that happens sooner than later.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much. En nombre de la Universidad de Monterrey, agradecemos a JC por su participación en la 20ª edición del Camino a la Sostenibilidad. Agradecemos su tiempo y las ideas, y estamos seguros que a más de uno de nosotros nos servirá. Y estamos seguros que en este foro estamos personas comprometidas. Entonces, a nuestros participantes del día de hoy, pues los invitamos a ser ese cambio que necesitamos ver. La sostenibilidad se ve en muchos temas y créanme que todos tenemos un poquito y mucho que aportar. Muchísimas gracias por acompañarnos en la conferencia de hoy con JC y te invitamos a conectarte a la siguiente en punto de las 11:30 horas de la mañana. La conferencia se llama Responsabilidad Social Signux. Entonces, nos vemos en un rato. Hasta luego.